What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Gameball. Today, joining the show, we have John Newman, former Clemson basketball player and current UC player. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. I'm glad to be alive. How about you?
I'm doing well. How's the 513 going for you in Cincinnati?
Man, I love it up here, man. I be telling folks every day, like, man, I'm blessed to be where I am, bro, because I just like the area, the environment that we got. Coach West has done a good job at, bringing that environment that he had at UNCG, bringing it here, and everybody's buying in. And, I love my teammates like brothers. I feel like I done known them my whole life, so I'm enjoying it a lot, man.
It's awesome. Yeah, I actually have some family up in Cincinnati, so I visit a lot. So it's quite the change of scenery from going from Clemson to Cincinnati too, because Cincinnati is a lot bigger, and it's a nice city. So
It's nice. It's definitely a completely different experience.
Now, the one thing I did say about Cincinnati that's kind of weird to me is, dude, they love their chili. I never met people that care more about chili than they do about sports, bro.
Bro, I swear, I'm like, they love chili so much. I'm like, where I come from, nobody's really that much worried about chili for real. Like,
I believe it.
you might get some at Wendy's or something, but nah, they crazy about it over here.
So, you a Skyline or Gold Star guy?
See, I like Skyline. I like Skyline a lot.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Gold Star, so I can't speak on Gold Star, but I'm a fan of Skyline. They got, the conies be fire.
Yeah.
Fire.
I like Skyline too, but Gold Star, I'm telling you, if you want to get a show, you got to go to Gold Star. The one time I went, it was next to some like dive bar, right? And some dude's like hammered off his ass, and they have him in the parking lot of Gold Star doing like the drunk test. And I kid you not, like I bet you see these videos where people like start dancing when they're drunk when they're doing these tests. This man was literally dancing during it, and then he like tried walking in a straight line, busted his ass. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So
That's funny. You never know what you see up here, man.
it's crazy. But with the NIL going through, you got to get one of those sponsorships going. You got to get some free meals.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm gonna try to work something out up here. Of course, whenever I get on the court and start producing, that'll make things a little easier. Right? I got some stuff in the works right now.
Yeah, I saw that you have a clothing brand. So it's what 1-5 West. So what's that all about? Like, what's that mean too?
So pretty much 1-5 West, story behind the name. So like growing up, I'm not sure why, but it's something weird about me. I've always like used Ebonics sometimes. Like, I've always used Ebonics really. Just in informal settings, like when I'm texting with my family, like it's my mom would tell me like go to the store. I'll put like I will. Like just weird stuff like that. I've just been like fascinated with like, playing with words and stuff like that. So I mean, I was able to incorporate that a little bit in here. Spelling it WON isn't necessarily Ebonics, but it's just a little bit of wordplay. Being that I am an athlete, and more than an athlete, but that's where my platform is coming from. So the fact that I'm a competitor, I put one like WON.
Yeah.
Instead of regularly spelling one. I use my liking for playing with words and my, me being a competitor. I put I changed from the traditional O-N-E to the W-O-N. And then 5, I kept that simple, just 5. So my number is 15. So technically it's like 1-5. You know what I'm saying? So I just, instead of spelling the regular one, I changed it to the other one. And then, so 1-5 West, the west part. I'm from the west side of Greensboro, North Carolina. It's just something that, people from that side, we take pride in where we're from. And I mean, Greensboro as a whole, of course, I take a lot of pride in, but specifically, the side I grew up on, build relationships with a lot of people. And, where I'm most comfortable, where I'm in my element, what I'm saying? I know my way around. And, I learned a lot of my lessons over the,
that's pretty dope. I might have to call, but sure. I was just curious about the meaning of it, so that's pretty cool to kind of know what's all behind it. And the links in your bio if anyone wants to check it out on Instagram, I believe.
So. Yes, sir. Go shop with me, man.
Yeah, definitely. And, mentioning Greensboro, so when you decided to leave Clemson, transfer from there, you initially transferred to Greensboro, and then you uncommitted, and went to UC because I believe Coach Miller ended up going to UC afterwards. So, what kind of, how important was him leaving Greensboro and going to UC to you?
I mean, it was big for him. He's always said he wasn't going to move until he found a program that moved him. And, UC being that we have a great history and culture and, from them winning the national championships back in the 60s, all the guys getting drafted to play in the NBA and the top ranked teams, all the guys that came up before us, we've benefited from the fact that, because of that, the fans are crazy about UC basketball. So, and me being from North Carolina, I even knew about UC basketball and how important it is, and its tradition and its history. So, I think it was a big move. It shocked a lot of people, but I think a lot of people understood. For him to continue his growth and ultimately doing what he wants to do. He came here, and it's a great place.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, going back to, I guess, your high school days coming out of Greensboro, you had offers from, teams like Boston College, Georgia Tech, Providence, and you ultimately decided to go to Clemson to start your career. So what was the whole, recruitment process like, and why'd you end up coming to Clemson?
Recruitment process for me, it was pretty good. It was good. I was able to play on the Nike circuit, so I was able to get in a lot of coaches playing against top talent. Played on some of the best teams, so I was blessed that way. And then I committed pretty early. I think I committed pretty early. I didn't want to my recruitment process. I didn't want to drag it out too long.
Mm-hmm.
I had to. So once I figured I was going there, I just was on board. And then pretty much what made me want to go there was at that point in my life, I was like 17, 18. I wasn't too prepared. I wasn't much prepared to go far away from home. I was just a homebody, you know what I'm saying? Rely heavily on my support system. And so a big priority for me was not going somewhere that was far from home.
Yeah.
The coaches recruited me really hard. And I knew I would have a chance to play significant minutes my sophomore year. I was like, freshman year, I'll learn behind Marquise Reed,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And just get better and stronger. And then my sophomore year, I'll be able to take that next leap. So, and ultimately that's what I did. So it was good.
Yeah, definitely. What was Coach Burnell like as a head coach for you and on and off the court?
He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about the game. Just a solid guy. Taught me a lot about the game. And, I was just, the experiences there, something that I'll never forget. We made a lot of memories together. A lot of people will bring up like the UNC game when we broke that streak, and me and him shared a moment. So we made a lot of memories that I'll never forget.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. You want a head coach that cares for their players too. So that's more than just playing basketball. So that's awesome to hear. But with your freshman year, like you mentioned, you didn't get a lot of necessarily all playing time because you're learning your role, learning behind Marcus Reed. So my question though is, what was the moment like when you just were playing your first collegiate basketball game? Like, what was it? Did you ever realize how big that was for you?
Oh man, it's the first, not the first. Well, I guess my first ever game was we were playing the exhibition game against Wilmington,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just kind of, the feeling is kind of weird. It's like I was a little nervous, but like it's excitement. It's not nervous. It's like, oh, I'm scared. It's just, I'm just excited and anxious to get out there and really see what college basketball is about. You see it on TV, but once you get out there, it looks completely different. So, it was awesome, man.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And sophomore year, that's when you took off. You started all 31 games. You're a menace to society on the court out there, getting 15, 17, 20 points. You could get a bucket at will out there. And so, like you mentioned, you end up being able to become a star, so it allows you to have such a breakout year. But how proud of you how to get all those minutes and play significant time.
For sure, it was good. Throughout the years, I was able to, put a lot of minutes on the court, and be a part of a lot of great wins and make a lot of great plays. I was given, opportunity. So
Mhm.
I was just glad to go out there and be playing with my teammates, playing the game that I love, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. And during that season, it was a streaky year for Clemson. We were winning games and then losing some, then going on a win streak, maybe losing some teams we shouldn't have. But there was a moment where there was a 3-game split where you played NC State, UNC, and then Duke, and you won all 3 games, and you were going off. You got 12 points against NC State, 17 against UNC, 14 against Duke, and you were shooting well over 50% from the field, which is incredible. But what was that like mindset for you to just be able to go out there and play so well?
You know, it's just trusting your training, and it's pretty much just trusting your training and not overthinking anything.
Mhm.
In games where people might have overthought things or just might have thought things were deeper than they were. Like out of those games, you don't think. In the games that people have their best games and it seems like they're in the zone, they're not thinking. So it was pretty much like that was pretty much my mentality is to go out there and rely on my instincts and the things that I work on every day, and just try not to overthink anything. Make a mistake, get to the next play,
Yeah,
get to the next shot. So it was like I'm just in a flow.
yeah, definitely. And, that UNC game, as you mentioned earlier, that was a big game because we hadn't beat UNC in who knows how long. It was a while, right? And be able to go out there and win, I believe, what overtime, and that it was just an incredible sight to see. So, what were the emotions just like in the locker room for with you, the coach, and the team?
Crazy emotions, crazy emotions. It was incredible, man, because we made history, and we were on the right side of history this time.
Mhm.
A lot of people, a lot of teams, great teams from Clemson that going there in the past, and for us to just be one of those teams that is just rolling in there, just like everyone else was, but we have a change of result. It was great for us, and it was great for our program, and I think a lot of the alumni were happy to see that streak broken, and hopefully they can continue to get some wins there going forward.
Yeah, definitely. And then you end up being number 3 Duke, just to mess around in North Carolina, pull off some great victories, and that must have been a crazy sight to see too, because no one was expecting to see that. So what was it like to beat and have a huge upset over number 3 Duke?
That was cool too. I mean, hey, it was like we just had to go out there and play with a chip and play with confidence, because and as you get higher up in levels of basketball, it's like it's not too much of a difference that separates players. You know what I'm saying? It's like ability wise. I mean, unless a guy's just shooting it from crazy deep or whatever, it's not that big of a margin between players really. So it's really about the team that comes in there as the aggressor
Mhm.
and who shows that they want it more. Duke, they're a great team, great program. But I think that was just our game. That was just our game. So we came in there with a mentality to win, and we were able to do that.
Did you know it was your game when you dunked on somebody? Is that when you kind of like realized it was time to turn up?
Yeah, I mean, I started off that game slow for real because I think I hadn't scored in that game until I dunked on Duke.
Mhm.
So really, it was I think that was like 8 minutes in, or 8 minutes or 12. It was like eight
I think
minutes.
it was 8. I think it was tied at 22 at the time as well.
Yeah. It was like okay, but I knew like I was like, all right, I haven't scored up to this point or done much, but I know I'm gonna get going at some point. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Like we're playing Duke. I'm not going outside, like especially not at the crib. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So
Yeah.
I just had to stay locked in, and ended up having a good game.
Yeah, I mean, you finished off strong. You shot 71% from the field that game, so that's insane right there. Like no one should shoot that well in a game, so that's incredible to see happen. But now
Yeah,
you got the stadium rock, or I guess the arena rocking, so that must have been pretty dope to have happen.
yeah, it was just super dope, man. It was experience of a lifetime. There's not many people that can say they did
Yeah, well, hey, at least you can dunk. I'm almost there,
that.
but it's not looking too promising. But at the end of the season, right? You're like I was saying, Clemson was going to hot and cold, and then COVID happened during the ACC tournament. So what was it all like? Because I personally think that you and Clemson had a chance of making March Madness, right? You were 16 and 15 at the time, but you were you were hot. You were going off getting some wins. So it was just the whole like moment like when you're in Greensboro and at home, and then all of a sudden COVID hits and ACC tournaments canceled.
It was crazy. Crazy. It was like the whole world was just changing right before our eyes, and we were a part of history.
Mm-hmm.
Again, and it was like kind of cool to be a part of, though, like in the sense of like, wow, like it was we were supposed to play Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was my game that was canceled. Like I was on the court, you know what I'm saying? So it's like something I'll be able to tell my kids going forward. Like whenever Corona hit, I was about to play against, Florida State, blah, 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 and I'll just have a story to tell. But it's an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, did I don't know how to describe it because I watched like Last Chance U, for example, and they did one over basketball, and when they did it, that's when COVID hit and they got canceled. And you could kind of see like inside like the emotions they all had to go through. But was it was it a hard realization that it's just over for you? The season's just over and you don't know when it's gonna get started again, like ever?
Yeah, I mean, it was just like I just really felt bad for our seniors, like Tevin Mack and Curran, Scott, and Paul. Like I was like, yo, for this to be the last game of your college career and it gets canceled and you just can't you can't do anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You get that game back, you never know what the result would have been. Like for that to be the last game, that's rough. That's rough. So I just felt for them for sure, man. But we stuck together, man. That's still the guys, and it's all good. It's life. It's life.
Yeah, definitely. Headed into this past year that has happened, Clemson was off to a hot start, winning 9 of their 10 games, and then obviously COVID happened again, and then we, out of quarantine, we lost to UVA, Georgia Tech, Florida State. Just what was that whole like that 13 game stretch like having to go through quarantine, not being able to practice, and starting off so hot and then going so cold.
Yeah, I mean, it was just tough. I think a lot of teams struggled after hitting quarantine breaks and stuff like that. But I think a lot of teams experience that. A lot of teams experience that. So it's all about really how you respond, and like they say, like life is like what 90% what happens, 10% what happens, 90% how you respond to it.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, it was just all about finding that way that worked for us. That would be the best response. You know what I'm saying? And at the beginning, it didn't quite, go our way, but second time around, we fixed the formula and was able to heal some wounds. So.
Yeah, definitely. And you carry the momentum. You were like, snap the losing streak against Louisville, which must have been a great relief to have happen. Just get back on your feet and stuff. And let you go to March Madness. So that was the first time you went to the tournament, and everyone talks about how incredible March Madness is. So what was it just like being a part of that? Obviously, didn't work out the way everyone wanted to. Had a first round exit to Rutgers, but what was that entire experience like? Seeing Clemson, seeing the seed, just being a part of that entire thing.
Man, that's awesome because I mean you're in the field with guys every day, and y'all grinding and working towards one thing ultimately. So it's like at the end of the season to see all our sacrifices that we made throughout the season, the time we put in and effort and energy put in and to make it where we made it. Like it was awesome. It was awesome, and for my teammates to for my teammates to be able to like tell their families like, I was a part of that. I had something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I'll never forget. And as far as the experience there, it was different because, different from what I've heard. I haven't, just because this is my first NCAA tournament, so I don't know anything other than the quarantine tournament.
Yeah.
But it was definitely unique. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it just being there and that opportunity and in front of that many people watching it. It was a blessing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, hopefully it won't. I don't think it'll be your last. I think you're enjoying UC so far, and you guys can pull it out. You can make it there.
It will not be my last. I promise you.
Yeah, definitely. But looking at that last year though, I'm kind of like a loss for words when I looked at it because it didn't necessarily go the way that I would expect, at least with your playing time, right? you went from starting 30 games sophomore year to only starting 8, getting limited minutes. So did
Mm,
that how did that make you feel? Because I personally, I mean, looking into it at least as a fan, it doesn't add up, right? How you had this incredible year and then
mm,
you start coming off the bench again. So what was that experience like? Like how did it make you just feel?
I mean, so it pretty much all started with my injury.
Mhm.
Like I got hurt in the Miami game right before we was about to play Florida State and they canceled.
Yeah.
I had dunked, and when I came down, I tore my meniscus.
Yeah.
And so pretty much the time passes. We're waiting for my meniscus to heal.
Mhm.
We're like, and so on goes, time passes by, and then eventually gets to a point where I wanted to get some scar tissue removed. So surgery is time keeps passing and going by. And it's just it's tough. It's tough to recover from a leg injury, and it takes a while to really get back to playing the way where you're confident on running and jumping on your leg. Going through the rehab and it takes a mental and physical toll on you, uh, it was tough for me. It was tough for me because really, like you said, you go from playing a bunch and what I'm saying, having big games.
Yeah.
And then it goes to, where it was this past year. And, it got tough for me, but I came out on the other side in a better situation. So it's, I'm glad I went through what I went through.
Mhm.
And injury and all, injuries can be good because it can, put your focus, maybe God wants to put your focus somewhere else on something else in your life. So I was able to learn from that situation. I learned a lot about myself and, I feel like I grew a lot. I grew through it. So, all in all, it wasn't the most enjoyable, individual experience as an individual, as a competitor, but I feel like it was necessary for me to grow as a man. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's what I.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, rehabbing from an injury is hard, right? It's hard to just keep mentally, strong during it. But what kind of just kept you to push you to keep going? Was it just to get back on the court, play with your teammates, or was it more than that?
Uh, I don't think it wasn't necessarily getting back on the court and playing with my teammates. It was more so just knowing what was next for me and knowing that what was coming, what was next for me
Mhm.
was greater than the situation that I was in. You know what I'm saying? I knew that wasn't how it was supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And I just knew that, and I prayed about it a lot. And so, I had found peace, and the fact that something bigger and better is coming, and it's gonna be right for me. And the direction that I'm going, I just gotta trust and put faith in God. So, it's just more about preparing for what's next, but also trying to be the best teammate and brother I can be. Because at the end of the day, even though my situation is not the best, I got those are my brothers for real. So I'm not going to be a jerk or nothing, or be a energy taker. you
Yeah.
know I'm gonna be an energy giver, and try to encourage, be a good teammate. Just do what's difficult.
Yeah.
It would have been easy for me to sit and pout and be in my feelings, but the main thing for me is just do what's honorable and stay focused, and just try to put your head down and focus on one day at a time, what's ahead of you. So
Yeah, definitely. Now you're on to a new chapter with UC, and how's Coach Miller like as a recruiter and as a coach? Did you have prior discussions before, with him before just entering the transfer portal, or was it have you known him since he's from Greensboro?
I've known him for a while. I've known him since I was 14.
Oh.
Yeah, because I played on the JV when I was in middle school. I played on the JV team. His brother was on my team,
Oh, nice.
and then him being around the area, from the area, um, him coaching at UNCG, and the fact that I born and raised Greensboro, so I know about UNCG, the history of guys that's come through there. So I've known Coach West for a while. So it was he was always nice to me. And over the years, I would be in their gym sometimes, like just working out or whatever.
Mhm.
And he was always nice and just made me feel like family. So I felt like, once I was in the transfer portal and we talked about it a little bit and what it would look like me playing with him, I was really all on board.
Mhm.
I was all on board. So
Yeah, that's awesome to hear. And what are the expectations for the team this year? Because UC is playing in the the AAC. That's a tough conference. You have Wichita State, Houston in there, and Houston was obviously an incredible team last year. So just what are like the expectations for UC just to kind of win the AAC or just go farther than that?
man, our expectations is just to, get UC basketball back to where it was.
Yeah.
The past couple of years, it was it was a little different. It was different. But I think, the fans and, even the players that's been here, we have a lot of pride in our program. So our main goal, our main expectation is to get UC basketball back to where it is and where it's been in the past, where it needs to be and where it needs to stay. So we're just gonna focus on getting better every day, and that 1% every single day. We're not gonna throw any expectations on ourselves. We're just gonna, we believe we have a great team, but we still got some work to do. So we're gonna keep working.
Yeah, definitely, man. So, my last couple of questions just deal with, what are your personal goals for the season to like shooting a certain percentage or playing a certain amount of minutes? What's your personal goals for the team?
My personal goals, I just really I just want to get back to, feeling the way I felt before. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying? Because last year I wasn't playing as much, so it's kind of hard to find a groove really. But my goal for me is just to, play every single game like I need to play, like I'm capable of playing. I don't want to have any games where it looks like I'm in a lull or nothing like that. So it's like almost like a challenge to myself, just to be consistent every game with what I'm bringing, and just if I do that, everything's gonna handle itself. Everything, I don't have to say this or that. If I just bring that consistency and play up to the level that I'm capable of playing every night, everything's gonna handle itself. So.
Yeah, definitely, man. My last question is, everyone has a role model when they try to model their game after somebody. Do you have like someone you watch film on a lot and just try to model your game on?
Uh, I take a few guys. I like James Harden. Some people say
Huh.
I got a little in my game. Just cause like sometimes I like step back. I don't do all the stuff he be doing, but I was like I don't be doing all that. But I like James. I like guys like Will Barton, Junkyard Dog.
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't say I try to model my game after him, but I like CJ McCollum.
Uh-huh.
But I don't really necessarily have anybody I try to like model my game after. I'll take moves. I'll take a little bit of stuff from everybody else's game. I watch what Devin Booker does on offense. What I might take a move or two from him. But then I watch Drew Holiday and see how he plays defense and how he's active with his hands and moves his feet. So I just try to I try to take a little bit of everything from people that I admire.
Yeah, definitely. Bringing up Devin Booker and Drew Holiday, were you shocked by the finals?
Yeah, honestly, I was a little shocked. I wanted my man CP to get him one. And he still got that chance for sure. But I kind of thought this year was the year. But he's got time. He's got time. The good thing is he's done a good job at taking care of his body over the years. So he's got opportunities ahead. He showed that he can win with anything, and so I think he still has that ahead of him.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm not the biggest Chris Paul fan. Like he's fine, but I swear this man's like a low key, he's like a dirty player. Like I'm convinced he is. Like when he pushed Giannis in Game 5, bro, that got me a little annoyed with him.
Man, it's probably a lot of people in the league that would have did that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe he'll get a ring. Hopefully, he just signs with the Heat and gets my team a ring. Miami needs one
Yeah,
desperately.
for sure. They're gonna figure. He'll figure it out. He'll be all right.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and I wish you the best of luck this season.
For sure, man. I appreciate you having me, my boy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'll see you. All right.
Yes, sir.